restoration.
Hiya, welcome back to the channel. So as you can see before us, we have a lovely Citroen C1 purring away nicely, but for some reason it seems to have developed a little bit of a smoking issue. I'll just try and demonstrate, and I'll just insert this manufacturer specific fast idle device. Yes. And that is definitely oil smoke. You can tell by the colour of it and the smell of it. The symptoms are that it could be piston rings. However, when I take this off, it's not excessively breathing. So it might be something else, but still, I'm going to try some of this stuff. The reason why I suspect it's possibly piston rings is because the way that it smokes when you rev it up. If it was, for instance, valve stems, that will usually smoke more when you close the throttle and it puts the inlet under vacuum, for instance. Piston rings is sort of like, well, when you give it some beans, which is, you know, give it some revs and it is smoking quite noticeable. So like I said, I'm going to put some of this in because I have used this stuff in the past with interesting and successful results, actually, believe it or not. So I'm going to give that a go, but first I want to measure the compression because I want to see if it's supposed to restore compression by magic. So I want to see if it actually does. Now I've tried this stuff actually on this car before years ago, but there was nothing for it to fix, so it was never really going to do anything when there was nothing wrong with it. So, well, let's see what the compression is. And now we have got our NASCAR style spark plugs removed. I just unplug these fuel injectors too. So it's not spunking any fuel into the cylinders and affecting the results. And now we are ready to measure the compression. So as we can see, cylinder 1 has got about 205 compressions. So let's try the other ones. And cylinder 2 has got a tiny bit less, but not enough less to actually matter. And cylinder 3 has got the best yet, but once again, difference isn't enough to actually worry about. So next, time to put some of this in. Now there is a few ways that you can install this into your engine. You can just dump it into the sump, which is what I was going to do. But then I spoke to Ametech or Ametech, who sell this stuff, and they were really helpful, and they suggested that, well, they sent me this as part of the kit actually, a syringe and a pipe, and instead of putting it straight into the oil, which isn't such recommended on this engine because of the VVT system apparently, in fact, it's not fully recommended on this engine at all because of the VVT apparently. So I'm just guinea pigging it, which that's great. But they told me if I was going to install it into this engine, that I would be better doing it down the dipstick tube while the car is ticking over and taking my time with it, which is what people have done in similar situations in the past with good results. So I'm going to try that, and also I'm going to jizz a little bit of it into the cylinders as well. So after giving it a bit of a shake up, then we can open it and the syringe can inhale some. So I'm just going to drip a little bit into each cylinder. Yes. And then before putting the plugs back in, I'm just going to turn it over. And if we have a look down here, we can see that in the cylinders is wet. So it has got into the cylinders, so let's put the plugs back in. And now we should probably make sure that it starts. Yes. And that's probably burnt off most of what I put down the cylinders, but the next thing to do is to, well, inject this down the dipstick hole while the engine's on tick over. So you can see what I'm trying to do here. I don't think you need to watch this because it's not going to be very fun to watch. It could take a while. This is the second string going in. And I'm just going to go ahead and keep lovingly inserting it, well, until I run out. Wait. I have in fact done. I'm not forgetting to put this back in. Yeah. So I'll turn the shitter off a minute and reinstall this. And now we've got that buttoned up, time to take it for a nice chilled out drive. And a couple of days of loving and gentle driving later, we are back, well, to see what we've found. So I need to use another industry standard fast dive. Yes. So as you can see there is no denying that it has made a significant improvement on, well, the amount of smoke and therefore the amount of oil the shit is burning. So next I'm going to test the compression again and see if there is any change in that. There probably isn't, because there was nothing really wrong with that anyway. I wouldn't have said 200 psi on this is probably about right. And at the same time I'm going to put some new sparkler plugs in. Normally I prefer NGK to be honest with you, but Bosch is what they had and they seem cheaper, so put them in. Right, so it appears that we've picked up about 10 psi on number one. And that is actually about the same as number one, whereas before I think it was a little bit less, so that's picked up some as well. And that one, I think, is a tiny bit higher than what it was before, but pretty much they're all like 215, 220 according to this gauge. So that is an improvement as well. Probably 5% improvement, I think. So let's fit our new sparklers, put the shitter back together. I think the gap on these is supposed to be 1.1 mil, but yeah, that's fucking close enough. And I think that is us pretty much done. As far as driving it, the only difference that I think I potentially noticed was it felt to be a little bit more go in it, like from setting off basically. Could have all been in my head, but I don't actually think it was. So yeah, I think that's all for this one. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all the usual shit, and I'll see you next time.